The story begins with our protagonists of the movie, a couple named Danny and Christian. Danny is clearly struggling with her emotions, on which she seems to have no control, while Christian is much annoyed with the relationship and wishes to leave when Danny is basically desperate to have Christian by her side by all means. She gets restless as Christian seems more distant. She is afraid that she might be bothering him to pay attention to her and takes out all her emotional pain onto the phone call with her nameless friend. The friend assured her that Christian is just a dick because boyfriends are supposed to support their girlfriends, and if one fails to do so, he is simply not capable. Christian's friends Pal, Josh, and Mark, having the completely opposite view in this matter, are constantly urging him to end the relationship since they are also annoyed to hear about Danny's constant issues. Christian wants the same. However, it is ridiculous how he is behaving even after they have spent almost 4 years together. His friends are quite adamant about making him end it since their trip to Sweden is around the corner and there will be many hot ladies on this trip. The trip is Pal's idea to visit his childhood home in Sweden, an extremely tiny remote area, on the occasion of their big Midsommar festival. They wonder what they are going to do in this remote place. On the other hand, Danny's bipolar sister has a serious episode, ultimately killing her parents while she poured poisonous fuel emissions into the bedroom. She is heartbroken at the fact that she lost all her family to such an unfortunate event and starts crying on the couch. Christian does his best to comfort her, but he seems to be way too much bothered that breaking up with Danny just became much more difficult owing to the situation she is in currently. The group soon reaches Haga, an extremely remote area in the Swedish countryside. They meet Ignamar, Pal's brother, who has also brought an English couple named Connie and Simon to celebrate the festival. They are offered mushroom tea that makes them let go of everything and lets the drug take control over them. Danny is hesitant to give in, and when she hears Pal talking about the villagers being like his family, she walks away. She starts getting paranoid that the other group must be laughing at her for hiding away in a shed, but she is absolutely terrified of a village that appears in the mirror of her sister Terry. Outside, the trees look like they are morphing around her. She must get used to it, since it's kind of normal around these area. However, not being accustomed to such feelings and a sense of paranoia, Danny passes out. She had dreams about her family. 6 hours later, she is conscious. They head up to Haga, passing through a large sun-shaped symbol on their way. The village is quite old and rustic, as one can assume. There are some people in white robes standing. A couple of old buildings are seen, out of which one particular building stands out for Josh. A mysterious, large yellow triangle-shaped building. He asks others what building it is, only receiving a clear message to stay away from the place. The festivities begin with dance and meals composed of rotten flies covered in meat. A villager named Maja seems to have an eye on Christian. She playfully kicks him when he sits in a ritual, a love ritual that just begins. The rules are easy, and at the end you get yourself a baby inside you. Strange things like pugh hair pie is also seen. The next day, a community feast is being organized with 2 guests of honor, one being the eldest member of the village named Yoga, and other being the labor who lead the group in a breathing exercise. The group stay together to start their journey towards a rocky landscape. The older folks cut their hands cleaning their blood on an image-covered stone prior to climbing to the highest point of a precipice. Everybody watching in expectation, beneath which goes to unadulterated loathsomeness, as Yellville strolls off the edge and terrains face first on a stone, tearing her face to shreds on the stuffed pretty darn abhorrent. Yet her face looks cheerful contrasted with the worker's heated jumps off. However, as it were, breaks his leg in the fall, groaning in torment, the remainder of the gathering emulates the sounds, generally tolerating his aggravation as their own. His distress will be brief, at least collectively. Of the locals drove by a fellow with a wooden, I expect, ceremonial sledge crushes the worker's face into a horrendous mash aster. Sure likes his head injury, James? Just Simon and Connie communicated being totally humiliated by what they saw. Ive, who appeared to be the gathering's ongoing chief, makes sense of for the rest. That the custom is a characteristic piece of the religion, as the 2 elderly folks had arrived at the age that is considered the finish of their life cycle. What's more, to delay it any further would have negative repercussions on the local area. It's spread out that in their religion, there are 3 phases to a human's existence cycle, finishing the 3rd at 72 years of age. What's more, that is the once arriving at that fairly mature age, the townspeople decide to take their own wives, all part of the endless pattern of life, her referencing as the more seasoned age. Simon and Connie are prepared to get the hell out of here definitely. When Connie is all gotten together, there's no indication of Simon around. She asks about his whereabouts, a resident, and is told that he previously left. This is very befuddling to her. I mean, who might arbitrarily choose to leave their life partner behind without a word, and she at any rate tests him with some sensible questions, and the resident sticks with his feeble story that he's en route to the train station, and that she'll be taken there once the, as far as anyone knows, incredibly minuscule truck returns. The young men then again, specifically Josh, are keen on the town in a considerably more mind-boggling way, needing to, as a matter of fact, do his proposition paper on the Harga individuals and Christian Ever. The jerk-ass thinks this. It's really smart and chooses to duplicate Josh, however basically presenting to team up with him. Pell awards both of them admittance to look further into their specific convictions in particular. They are acquainted with the gathering's strict texts, which I'm similar to an ordinary book of scriptures, is loaded up with smaller than usual clear pages, as their religion is continually developing and changing over the long haul. Instead of being obligated to a limited arrangement of words, the new pages are really conceptual drawings done by it. And bread resident, known as the diviner, they are explicitly inbred deliberately by the town, as they accept that Maine. Those like the distorted Reuben have it clear or open psyche to genuinely see Josh as wanting to snap some photographs of the compositions. However, the senior declines the right off the bat. Dead older folks' bodies are covered in the town, and their remains sprout on a fallen tree, which they allude to as the familial tree, and has outrageous adoration to the residents, assumedly many individuals' cinders have been spread. There over the years, obviously the idiot Mark is uninformed of its significance, and in a real sense, takes a piss right on the tree. Overwatched by a resident alt who is so upset by the demonstration that he in a real sense separates into tears, and when he's educated regarding what he's finished, Mark is befuddled and calloused, thinking he did nothing off base, showing exactly how socially drove-headed he is, and similarly as with Connie and Simon, he slighted the town's rehearses, Texas trimming tool style. Well, no doubt, he did the following morning. The fact that the book has gone makes the social event informed missing false, and figuring it probably been Josh that took it. Christian rushes to limit any association with his proposal, be that as it may, saying they're not with him and do not team up with him, which is in a real sense what he requested that we do. Before a jerk, totally soon thereafter, it's the ideal opportunity for the huge May Sovereign service, and Danny has hauled a method for joining the other female residents to move around a maypole, a long-distance race of sorts. The victor is the last lady standing, who is then delegated the main. Sovereign what tomfoolery is a moving contest without some more bad-to-the-bone hallucinogenics. Danny gave some more mushroom group and the dance-off starts the medication before long kick in, and things start getting all bizarre and morphin trees and everything once more. What's more, oddly, Danny gets herself out of nowhere ready to communicate in Swedish with the others individually. The young ladies fall and are disposed of. In the end, Danny being the lone survivor getting delegated then a sovereign. GoDaddy Standby is winning something worth being thankful for, or a terrible thing I surmise we'll find in a little Christian. Watching this happen has given his own triptych observing vacantly, as Danny has whisked away saying nothing. And as she's watching, you can tell she's like, geez, you couldn't uphold me when I become the May Sovereign. However, it turns out, he has one more reason to serve. Guaranteed to the female older folk stop sitting in a room enhanced with additional huge artistic creations. The one that grabs his eye of a bear ablaze, that is odd however likely won't return later. He is persuaded by the senior to impregnate Malia, which he sort of consents to, yet appears to be a greater amount of a medicated out insanity and not precisely mindful of what he's joining for. It's absolutely impossible that he could have anticipated how crazy the mating custom would be. First given some smelling salts for virility before we're entering a room with Majo encompassed by 12 other stripped ladies. He starts to make the sex with Maya. Also weather conditions is indeed, even aware of what he's doing or not. He actually is having intercourse with somebody other than his better half. And Danny sadly gets him in the demonstration, watching everything go down through a keyhole. And the entryway this selling out makes Danny have an all-out breakdown. We're treating to the living quarters to cry. Yet she discovers that she doesn't have to confront her feelings alone, as the other ladies come to join her. And as we've seen earlier, they started to cry thoughtfully alongside her. At long last, she has somebody she can sympathize with her aggravation with, totally in the gathering back at the Mound Bar. And Christian wraps up and sort of comes to abruptly humiliated by his activities furthermore, runs outside totally distinct stripped also, The visit for multiplication as well, seeing a portion of his companion's body parts removed, starting from the earliest stage, with finding Simon's destiny hung with his internal parts outwardly in what's called a bloodbird. For the most part related with Vikings, the brilliant thing about it will be it, blowing a baffling powder into his face. Wow, did. They in a real sense have like each medication on the planet in this town. It's like they have this multitude of various medications for various purposes. Pretty noteworthy stuff, folks. Now the opportunity has arrived for the peak of our long-term, really taking shape custom, which has one ultimate conclusion that lies in Danny's grasp. The seniors bring in a particularly sedated-up Christian alongside the resident Ingmar, inquiring her to pick somebody for a penance. Here we learn of the fabulous Midsommar custom that the Harga individuals will attempt as they no question have for millennia. The custom requires 9 all-out penances, a number that was considered enchanted again to the Vikings. Sort of seems that way. Or agnostic stuff is what they are enlivened by requiring 2 of their own. The older folks who bluff bounce too. Slammed sets out before toward untouchables as a craftsmanship bunch got by. Pella, Josh, and Czech alongside Simon and Connie acquired by the envious Ingmar, along with 2 living workers from the town, and a last penance chose upon by the man-clean, generally putting this critical choice in Danny's hands. For once she is the one in charge. Also, after how he has been the whole film and apparently the total of their 4 years together, she chooses to, in a definitive separation move of all time, forfeited her sweetheart as a last offering, squeezing by a long shot the most terrible destiny of the relative multitude of townspeople, eviscerate an exposed cadaver. Thus Christian inside yet medicated, utterly crazy. The best anyone can hope for at this point is to stay there and let it occur in a stony fog. He's taken to the yellow structure, currently figuring out that it is. You see a critical strict image for the gathering. The sight of their most excellent custom-dropping Christian in his new bear suit alongside the bodies of the others inside a portion of the contributions have explicit purposes. We see one body enhanced with a few branches and a sort of fan, another whose stomach was emptied out and loaded up with natural products. Furthermore, vegetables each and presenting to guarantee the success of the land and their yields. And even Christian's bear suit is planned to keep the town protected from the savage side of nature. They set the structure on fire. Christian can't do much past wheeze as the flares cover him, while Ingmar shouts in total agony as the fire arrives at his legs. This is entertaining to me since right before another buddy gives Ingmar some tree dust or some, and it's everything like, this will make it say you will not feel any aggravation whatsoever. However, first thing at the point when the blazes contact him on the grounds that definitely, that is have to hurt. Sorry, on the off chance that I frightened you there, the remainder of the townspeople reverberation. Their torment shouts as the fire spreads through the entirety building, and Danny seems as though she's beginning to figure she could have maybe gone altogether too far. It seems to break down once more. However, we see her attitude out of nowhere shift, paying attention to the brought-together shouting of the townspeople. A deranged grin starts to frame on her face. There are numerous ways of interpreting what occurs in these last minutes, which brings us to the finish of this inning.